Dumelang family. Today we visit a bit of science. Let's start with life. Life as we know it began in the African continent. Then the world blew up and we had more continents. At which point scientists, in their curiosity, decided to measure the brain capacity of a human being compared to animals. They took monkeys, they took the ape family, baboons, orangutans, and they took human beings of all races. The monkeys had 3 gene segments. The ape family, they had 4 gene segments. And human beings ranged between 5 and 6 gene segments. But the highest human being had 6 gene segments. Then the scientists came to Africa and they measured people of African descent. We didn't have 6 gene segments. We didn't have 7 or 8 gene segments. We had 9 gene segments. What is a gene segment? It's just a functional unit of heredity. It's made up of DNA sequences. That's just different brain regions. If we put it in layman's terms, think of a house. So the highest human being of all races had a 6-bedroomed house, the capacity of their brain. And a person of African descent had a 9-bedroomed house. Measure the difference. So when colonialism started, they knew this. They came to our continent, they came to our country, they took our land, and then they decided to fill those 9 rooms with cement so that we can never think. They devised a strategy to undermine our thinking capacity. It was very difficult to accept that we have more brain capacity than them. So they had power over us and they decided to close those rooms. Hendrik Verwoerd, he said there is no place for the Bantu child above the level of certain forms of labor. For this reason, it is of no avail for him to receive training which has its aim in the absorption of the European community, where he cannot be absorbed. So, we're going to train these people just to the level of taking instructions, so that when we enslave them and they serve us, they can at least be able to take instructions. That's all the education they are allowed. They are going to only learn language enough to take instructions, to be our servants. And what did Hendrik Verwoerd do in 1953? He designed Bantu education, which was designed to put cement in our 9-bedroomed house so that we can't think. And in 1953, he made that into law. Those who don't know Hendrik Verwoerd, he was a minister of Native Affairs. So we were doomed with Bantu education. Then they designed white education, which had a white child in mind. This is a child who has her own bedroom. In the morning before school, she has breakfast. She has all uniform. She has all the books she needs at school. She's got toys. She's got bicycles, puzzles, dolls. She's got books to read at home. After school, she gets picked up. She gets a warm meal cooked by our parents. So So this education was designed for a very comfortable child. Their education was well funded. It was compulsory for longer periods. It was designed as a high quality, preparing students for university, for world-class professions and leadership roles, and it was free. So take the difference of the Bantu education against the white education. So us, we are trained to be slaves, and they are trained to take leadership positions. Fast forward to 1994. No, let's rewind a little bit. In 1979, the term Bantu education was now being offensive even to international community. So in 1979, they changed this term Bantu education, and they enacted an act called Education and Training Act. But even though they took the term away, they continued the segregation. Then 1994 happened, at which point nobody thought of designing new education for our 9-bedroom house. Do you know what happened? In 1998, the South African new government adopted. Do you know what is to adopt? It means to take something that exists or someone that exists and make him your own. You don't design your own thing, you take something that exists and make it your own. They took the white education and they made it national for everybody. The education that was designed for a white child who has everything, who has supplementary tools at home, who has toys, who has their own room, who has food. They took that education designed for a white child who has a 6-bedroom house. They took that education and plugged it onto 91% of the country who has a 9-bedroom house. So this is a black child with 9 gene segments who had the right to have his brain nourished properly. But nobody did that. So the question is, did no scientist advise the new government that we need to design a completely new education system for those with a superior brain? I did. And I was kicked out like a cat. So now that you understand the design of the education system and why the white education will never work for an African child who has 9 gene segments, now we have to talk about the new design for this big brain. Ndimachero ni abuthi mucha. Witani. Mina ndirona rombela ndinyi. Good morning, family. Today we're going to look at the best method to address the injustice of colonization of the mind. It is not to decolonize the curriculum, because that is external. We should not even allow that treason to come out of our mouths. We don't mention that word. As Socrates said, that the secret of change is to focus all our energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So what is past, we know is history. We don't forget it, but we don't dwell on it. We start building the new. So where do we start? We focus on a complete reset of the chip in the mind. After extensive research of decades, I developed 9 pillars of a new education system that will be delivered in 3 distinct stages of educating a mind. Every step of the 3 steps benefits from the 9 pillars in totality. The only difference is the method of instruction during each phase. Let's start with the first 1,000 days. The first 1,000 days of a human being's life. What we do in the education system, we extend it to 6 years. So the first 6 years of life, a child doesn't come to the world with a clean slate. They have remnants from both parents, and it's high percentages. So we study heritability because genetics and the environment that we are introducing the child to, the nexus thereof, it interacts in the most complex of ways. So we need to study how the environment we are introducing is going to affect this being. Our research encourages the natural flow of life during the first 6 years of a child's life. We don't interfere in their natural processes. We don't impose what we know on them. We do not teach. We observe the spiritual knowledge and wisdom that this new life brings with from God. We support it. We allow the baby to teach us what they came with, what they know. Importantly, what they came to learn in this lifetime. We just support the path. Each and every one of the nearly 8 billion people in the world has got their own path in this lifetime. They have come for a specific purpose. So what we do is we sit back and observe, scientifically and spiritually, to receive the instructions from the child so that we know how to support their path. The other thing we do is we teach through conduct. At that stage, they don't understand do as I say. They relate more to do as I do. They'll copy you and they'll emulate everything you do impeccably. If you want your child to sit upright throughout, that's all you do. The child is going to copy you, and that's how she's going to sit. Whatever you do, they're going to emulate it. So we need to be very, very careful at this stage of their learning. Their minds are fragile, but they're stronger, and they actually know more than you. This is not the time yokuteketisa umntwana. They can hear you. Speak properly. This is not the time to undermine their brain. It is stronger than yours. Then we have the second phase, from 6 to 13. This is what we normally call a matriculation stage in South Africa, from grade 1 to grade 12. So for 12 years, we rush you through school, we put you through matric. We don't even know if matric suits you. We don't even know if that's what you want to do in life, but we make it a standard of being judged, the matric, for 12 years. We don't microwave our children. We slow cook them. We are Africans. We give them 13 years during this time. And this is the most complex of all 3 stages of education. So what we do is we split the 13 years. First of all, we need to understand that in society, not everyone is meant for university. Not everyone should go to university. In fact, every society, only 30% of society goes to university, because they have to run certain, heads of industry. So those people we send to university, but the 70%, we groom them through apprenticeships. We make sure that every gap in the economy, in the wheels that drive the economy, we make sure that every gap is filled. We need plumbers, we need chefs, we need hairdressers, we need so many people who make the world go round properly. We need people who answer the telephone properly. You need to phone Telkom once and get your query sorted out, not 10 times. So those jobs do not undermine them. They are the wheels of economy. Then we have the last stage, which is from 19 years to 100. We don't have an age limit. Everybody is entitled to education. Everybody has a right to education, and we're not going to violate that. So we accept everybody who is coming to study. What we do at this stage, however, is we split the groups. You don't want to crowd the young children with the older energy. Forgive me, I'm also old. But we don't want to crowd the younger group with that. You want to give them the freedom to express themselves without having to respect some elders in class. So we separate the groups. But this group, we recruit a very, very special group during this time of unemployed graduates, and we restructure them and take them to other routes. You must remember, at this stage, everybody we accept into the university has a job automatically, because you have to work for 3 days. You are learning by doing, and you have to be in class for 3 days. So everybody we admit is already employed. We start with our unemployed graduates. They already have the muscle memory of studying. We start with them, we admit them, we bring them in, we change their careers, we check what the country needs, we check what the economy of that canton needs. What do we need? And we take the groomed graduates and we just tilt them a little bit to ensure that they fulfill that economic need. So for today, I'm only doing videos that are talking about the first stage of our grooming, which is our babies from 0 to 6, focusing on the first 1,000 days of their life. Another anomaly we have in South Africa is that we are single-headed families, and this is very painful for me to say. But the damage that is caused by not having a value system from 2 parents is far beyond what we fathom. So let's talk about it. So the 0 to 6 group, we don't put in a classroom. We don't have classrooms for them. We don't tell them to sit down. We don't tell them what to do. We don't tell them to keep quiet. Instead, what we do, the first lesson of their life is freedom, free will to do whatever they want. What we provide is an environment that has got every resource. We have a garden that is tended by agricultural experts. You know, the ones that still use worms to nurture our soil. If a child wants to wake up and go and spend the day in the garden, it's their choice. We have a music academy which has every instrument you can find: guitar, the harp, violin, piano, any music instrument is present. We have voice teachers. We have instrument teachers. If a child wants to go to the music academy that day, they walk in, they go and sit in whatever instrument they want. Even the specialist teacher that is there, when a child comes, they don't come and teach the child. They let the child do what they want. The child can start playing with the keys, bing, bong, bing, bing. They will do that until they learn the song themselves. If they need help, they will go and ask the teacher who is just in the vicinity. The sports ground, there are coaches at all times. Sorry. Our expert kitchen with Ayurveda chefs is always ready. There are those who just want to go and bake. So any aspect of learning is available. We have an art room. We have a library. In our library, there is every educational book you can find. Classical, history, you name it. What you won't find in our library on the children's section is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Jack and Jill, or Red Riding Hood We don't keep those. If we make children's books, they are so scientifically formulated to stimulate the mind, but they are written in such simple language that children enjoy them. We teach the children where the first university in the world was established, in Africa. We teach them about our kings. We teach them about relevant people who are still alive today, who have triumphed under very difficult circumstances. So the children's books, whilst they are written in such a way that they can assimilate them, they are very knowledgeable. They are meant to build their courage from inside. So the library is a very important space because we don't allow computers at this time. We want raw reading. We want the child to sit down and read. Then we have mindfulness, where we teach the children where is their pineal gland, what does it do, how to look after it. We make them meditate 5 minutes a day. We teach them how to pull their internal power. We teach them how to connect with Source from the onset. We teach them their integrity and their dignity and how they hold it. We teach them what is God, where is God. So that freedom is the first lesson in life, that they know that they choose what they want. Later, we will talk about testing. Throughout the 3 stages, we don't do exam. We don't want anyone to regurgitate anything. We're not testing your memory. We are grooming you. We are enabling your brain to reach its maximum capacity. We don't test. We don't write exams. So the first lesson is freedom. And we don't have to tell them that they're free. They know because they go and do whatever we want. We just observe, and through their repeated, consistent actions and visits to the different departments, we then get an idea what they like and what they enjoy. The second instruction, which is very important, is nutrition. You will undermine this, but this is very important for your lifelong health. Because when you are ill with cancers, with sugar diabetes, whatever illnesses we get, it's just a disease in the body because you didn't look after the body. That's exactly what it means. So if you teach a child from the onset to hold the cleanliness, the internal hygiene of the body in high esteem, they will respect everything they put into their body. The first thing we start with in nutrition is the 3 stages of the internal health. We have a 24-hour cycle, which is divided into 8 hours each. There's appropriation, which is from 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It's an 8-hour window. This is when you can eat because your digestion is at its best. It is the optimal time to break down food. During this time, you can only eat 2 meals. In the 8-hour window that you can eat, you can only eat 2 meals. You can eat at 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then give your body a 5-hour gap to digest that food. Then you can have another food. And also give it a gap to digest that food before you go and sleep. You don't want digestion happening when you're sleeping because then your body can't function. Our bodies are designed to heal themselves 24 hours a day. And the only thing that slows down that healing is digestion. So you don't want to be a crunching machine. Your body is not meant for that. So what we do is we teach the contrary of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Yes, it's important to break the fast, but not in the morning, not before midday. So from when they wake up to midday, we give something soft, like warm water with some turmeric, ginger, and lemon. It cleanses the system. It assists the elimination process, keeps you clean and very focused. Then we have a second stage, which is assimilation stage. This is from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Most of the time, people are sleeping at this time. So if you had your dinner at 5 o'clock, you had 3 hours to digest your food. For babies, they sleep at 8 o'clock. So you had 3 hours to digest the food, and because we eat soft food, it is not hard for the body to digest it. Then you go and sleep, and you allow the body to take nutrients from the food it digested during the day. It takes the vitamins from digested food and feeds the cells and tissues. Then it separates the waste, preparing it to eliminate it in the next stage. From 4 a.m. to 12 midday, it's a very important time. It's elimination time. This is when your body naturally removes waste from your body. So I'm talking about the gastric secretion of undigested residues in your system, the fiber, the dead cells, the bacteria. This is the time to remove all of that waste, and you don't want to disturb it by eating before midday. Our children learn this very important lesson from a very, very young age, and they respect it throughout their life. Molweni mawethu. Yho, ndangxoliswa ukusuka ecofa imvabu kuyojika eGqeberha. Ndingxoliselwa ntoni? Amaxhosa athi uyasiqhela usicingele. Uthetha nabo bonke aba bantu ngeelwimi zabo. Thina usishiya apha phandle, awufaki nezwi. Ndithi hayi bantase, sanongxama ndiyeza kuni. Silusapho, sanongxama. Great Risings family, habari za asubuhi, my African brothers and sisters. I greet you all. Now I'm going to be getting my regular emails and comments. Yeah, translate what you said in the beginning. We didn't hear it. We also want to hear what you said. I was just greeting my Xhosa family the same way I've greeted you. So you see what the issue is here. Language. It creates a barrier that we don't reach each other. Language is one of the most fundamental means of expression. Without it, there's barriers to everything. There's barriers to communicating, barriers to reaching each other, barriers to understanding each other, barriers to learning. It's a very, very, very important subject. So today I'd like us to talk about languages. Within the languages, before you even form a sentence, we have words. So we start with etymology, which is not a language, but it's the study of the word. It's a study of the underlying meaning of each word. What does good morning mean? Are we mourning? So we curse each other using words every day. You get into the office, good morning, good morning. What are we mourning about? Did somebody die? Go to etymology and ask, what does morning mean? What does good morning mean? So before we even start the day, we curse each other because we don't understand the meaning of the word. I'm going to give you a very painful experience. I don't do stories. I only tell you what I've experienced. So at law school, we are in a criminal law class. We've just written a test and we are receiving our scripts back. Our professor, Professor Msikitsane, didn't teach. He used to just come and stand in class and criminal law would ooze out of his pores. There was no way you could fail his class. He was that good. There's a young man who sits behind me. Very young boy, must have been 19. Very smart, very funny. He used to get me into stitches. I noticed that he got 25% for his criminal law test. He's unhappy, I'm unhappy. So during break, when we part for break, I stop him. Ke re ngwana ka tla kwana. Ke re man mamela man visari. Na re wa itlhaloganya visari. And he says to me, ma old lady man, ma old lady. O itse dideng ya gore le tsene sekolo le tsofetse man. You are slow. Visari ke snai ma old lady. And he starts unpacking Visari. He starts telling me every aspect of Visari. So tell me, my son, I want to tell you it. Visari, does it still apply in our law? My old lady died then. Shh. So I ask him, ga o tlhaloganya Visari ka mokgwa? Why didn't you answer the question? Which question? Ke re potso ya Visari, why didn't you answer it? He says they didn't ask it. They didn't ask Visari on this test. Which means he missed the question completely. He knows Visari inside out. But because of language, he didn't get it. He lost it. You can ask all my friends that I went to law school with. After a test, I used to take their scripts home and go and remark them because I wanted to understand the gap. I wanted to understand what is missing. Why is our average 52%? What are we missing? Believe me when I tell you today that 60% of our failings is the language barrier. Language. English is a very difficult language. I normally laugh when I listen to my videos and just hear how I break the English language. Fortunately, the queen is gone, so she can't sue me. But it's a very difficult language. So we are learning with a language that we didn't grow up with. It's not our mother tongue. The white people grew up speaking English. It's very easy for them. They just go through. It's a barrier for our people. It's a very difficult language. You cannot study law without understanding English and Latin. You cannot. This should be a language that is compulsory for a course like law, for any course. Language. So today, I want us to unpack the importance of languages. You see this young man from my law class, my criminal law class? He got 25%. If he understood the question, he would have gotten 62% more. He had an A for this paper. But just because of a language barrier, he went from an A to below average. That's how bad the fail was. Why? Language barrier. He explained the Visari doctrine properly in Tsotsitaal. But do we practice law in Tsotsitaal? No, we don't. So please today let us learn the importance of languages. So let's start with languages. In our institution, we have an entire language laboratory that caters for all 3 phases of education. That's how important language is. We teach every language from Zulu to Mandarin. But we are still with our babies, the first 1,000 days and 0 to 6 years. We are still with our babies. We don't have classrooms. So how do we teach them the language? Let's go back to etymology. before we start talking about the language, about sentence construction, we go to the ingredients, we go to etymology, we go to the words. What do the words mean? What is the underlying meaning of each word we use? If you're just going to speak without consciousness, you're going to be cursing everybody around you. If you're just going to adopt other people's meanings without doing your own research, you're going to be cursing yourself throughout your speech. So we start by teaching the importance of understanding the underlying meaning of a word. That's where we start. Take, for instance, the word entrepreneurship. Everybody associates entrepreneurship with business. When you ask, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship has got nothing to do with business. Absolutely nothing. So will you believe me when I tell you that entrepreneurship is not a word? It's a language. Entrepreneurship is an expression. It's of French origin. It just means the courage to undertake. You can undertake anything. You can take the courage to undertake a journey to health. The end result is not monetary, it's health. It took me courage to take the risk to confront Standard Bank from the onset. My result was not monetary. It was freeing my child from their claws and restoring her dignity. So the currency of your result, it's not always monetary. In the 16th century, Richard Cantillon, he was a banker, he was an economist. He took the term entrepreneurship and manipulated it into economics. And formally in the 19th century, they just made the core of the word to be about identifying needs, organizing resources, taking risks, and creating value through innovation or exchange. But that's not what entrepreneurship means. So in our school, we still use it as a language. We don't teach it as a skill. We don't teach it as a business skill. We instill entrepreneurship as an attitude that you're going to use to express yourself throughout your life. We instill that courage, that strength. We instill it. We massage it into your cells. We don't teach it. Then we have Swahili. This is the most spoken language in our continent. For me to speak to somebody in Burkina Faso, I must use English? Don't we have Swahili? The day we have the United States of Africa, what language are you going to speak? What language are you going to address each other with? English? That's an insult to our hard work. Swahili in our school from 0 to 100 is compulsory. We need one language in Africa. Speak the other languages, no problem. We have 1 million dialects of everything. But we need to have one language that combines all of us from Cape to Cairo. At the moment, the most spoken African language is Swahili. So we have to speak Swahili. Now that I've touched on languages, I mean, there's no way I can do this on social media. It's loaded. But now that we've spoken a bit about language, why don't we talk about how we teach the babies languages? What does Proverbs 22 verse 6 say? It says, teach a child about God in their infancy and throughout their life until adulthood, they will never leave God. So what we do is we coin all languages from the holy books that teach our children that God is the foundation of their existence. So we call all holy books and we teach them in their original language. Tao Te Ching, we teach it in Mandarin. Talks of Chinese culture, world view. The Quran in Arabic talks about so many practical things we need to learn as humanity. The Bible, the Torah, the Talmud is from the Hebrew side. We get a Hebrew teacher to coin small baby stories that excites them, but we are actually teaching them about God. We're teaching them about worldview. We're teaching them language. So respecting counsel from Proverbs 22 verse 6 that says, teach a child about God in their infancy and throughout their growing up to adulthood, they'll never leave God. We decided to teach our children about God, about language, through holy books. All holy books have the same principles, so we teach them all. What we do is we find the native speakers who make children's stories using the specific holy book to come and narrate those stories in the natural language. So the Tao Te Ching is taught in Mandarin, the Bible is taught in Hebrew, and so forth. So what happens here is the first 4.5 years, the teachers just tell these stories and children choose where they want. But by the time they get to the 4th year, you see them going to the same teacher all the time, which means they've made their choice. They have made the worldview that they relate to. They've made their choice. You didn't tell them where to go. They choose. Sometimes you find the ones with the sharper mind, they go to only 3 classes now. 10 minutes at a time. The stories are very short. We don't want to tire our children. So they go, you find them going to one teacher 3 times, then you know they really enjoy that philosophy. I told you we don't have exams. Not in the baby school, not at university. We have a way of testing growth, of measuring. Test is a bad word, but we have a way of measuring growth. There's no pass or fail. I told you I don't tell stories, I only relate my experiences. One day, I pass in the passage and a beautiful 6-year-old girl, she stops me, she's excited. She says, I love Teacher Zahira. I say, tell me about it. She says, you know, I've learned a lot from Teacher Zahira. I say, how often do you see her? She says, every day. I say, wow. So Teacher Zahira has taught me external hygiene. What? Yes. You see, before when I go to the bathroom to do number 2, I used to wipe myself with the toilet paper from back to front. And now I wipe myself from front to back. But when I finish with the toilet paper, I sit on top of the bidet and I wash myself with water. I love that. It makes me feel so good and clean. Do you know what else? I love the idea of zakat. What is zakat? Zakat is the contribution that you have to make from your income to give to people who need it more. Now, this principle is in every holy book. You donate a percentage of your salary for the good of others. But the way this idea has captured this child, she loves zakat. She's listened to this idea in all the other holy books, but she loves zakat. I say, wow, you are learning a lot from Teacher Zahira. What else? She tells me about Ramadan. She says, Prophet Muhammad says, it's like taking a knife and cutting disease out of your body. I mean, this child is attracted to Islam. And in all this time, she is relating this in Arabic, not in English, in Arabic. So she's learned a language. She's chosen a worldview. She has chosen the aspects that interest her. This is a philanthropist. This is law and order. So you're immediately starting to see the direction a child wants to go through. Those who love Tao Te Ching, they tell you about Chinese culture. This is medicine. This is Feng Shui. They tell you about the body and natural healing processes. Even when they go to the art class, they're drawing Chinese art. So what we do, the observers, you watch the child. The children are very consistent. The child who loves Tao Te Ching, when it's time for sport to go outside, you won't find the child in the rugby field, even though she has a choice. She does Tai Chi or martial arts. Then you see the consistency, the art, the food, the everything they chooses a certain worldview. They know God is their foundation, but they've chosen a certain way. This is medicine. So, and even the philosophy that comes from there, it got to do with balance. They do sport, they do... This little girl I'm telling you about who loves Teacher Zahira, she goes and does yoga. So different children choose different worldviews. A certain language rings in a certain way in a child, but a child has chosen. Do we need to write an exam? The child has told you everything. We've got a different way of measuring the growth in our children. But by the time the child is 6 years old, she speaks 6, 7 languages fluently, and this is not counting the South African languages, fluently. And from there, they decide what they go with going forward. They might decide, even though I understand a bit of Mandarin, it's not my thing, so I will stay with Hebrew and French. You know, of all the languages, what really appeals to me is Italian. So I will stay with that. Their choice. They choose. You just make everything available to them. So we teach language through the holy books, but it's such a loaded teaching that, as I say, it covers the worldview, it tells you where the child is going, it teaches them language, it teaches them about God, and it teaches them a lot of principles to keep them together. That's how we teach languages. But in the next phase, which is from 6 to 19, we teach it differently. We'll talk about that. Grand Risings family. Today we are visiting the 6 to 19-year-old phase, which by far is the most difficult group to educate. I'd like to start with the term or the word university. It's a Latin word, universitas, and the direct meaning of it is the whole. It talks of humanity, and it talks of integrating and pulling a society, a community together to be a whole. That's what this word means. This word, university, does not mean those big buildings where we pay a lot of money and after 3-4 years of slogging and cramming and memorizing information, they print a degree certificate. That's not what it means. So our university means the original underlying meaning of the word. It is bringing our community together. We are communal beings as Africans. We are not individuals. We are one. And everyone, we are like a chain. Each one of us is like a link of that chain. And that chain is as strong as the weakest link. So our strength as African is to strengthen each other, to make sure that we remain solid as one. And that is the purpose of this university that we are setting up now. The 6 to 19-year groups is challenging because most of the time we don't have the first 6 years of the baby. So by the time they come to us, their 9-bedroomed house is filled with cement at different levels. Another contributor is the home the child comes from at that age. How solid is the home? Is the child being raised by a loving mother and father? Maybe there are some siblings at home. Is the mother of this child a single mother who is 15 years older than the child, which means they themselves are still a child raising another child? Is this a grandmother's child? So the children come with different backgrounds, with different problems, and we have to then start weighing what do we have in our hands and what are we educating. So we can't just go and cut in and start giving them 1 + 1 is 2, a, e, o, u. We cannot do that. We need to start the child where they are, so that whatever damage is there, if there's cement in their head and maybe it has solidified, we need to first start by cracking that cement. We crack it, as Rumi says, when there's a crack, the light goes in, and then we start working on the child. Again, we feed the food that is necessary, mentally I'm talking. We get children who are very young, 6, 7, 8, who have been on Ritalin for 3 years because some medical doctor working for the pharmaceuticals has said the child has got ADHD or ADD or PDD, all the diagnoses that they give our children. And then they kill their brains with poison. They poison them with Ritalin and other drugs. Our job at this stage is not to separate the children to make them feel that there's anything wrong with them. What we do, however, we do our work very gently to try and wean them off whatever poison our children are given, whether it's from home, whether it's from an abusive home, whether it's from medication, but there's many challenges that come to us. So we find a scientific way to gently heal that damage as we go on. Another thing we do at this stage is we acknowledge that not every child is meant for the university in the new modern meaning of the word. Where you go and get that degree, not every child needs to go there. 30% of every society must go to university as captains of industry. But 70% needs to fill very, very different jobs. And in our society, we are so unkind that if you don't have matric and you have not been to this new age university, we write you off. We look down upon you. We do it differently. We respect everybody. We integrate everybody. Remember that whole so that we don't break that whole. We reinforce every link to make sure that our chain remains solid, and we start at this young age. So this is a busy phase, because as we heal the mind, we educate and we also assess the capacity, the interests, the direction that this child needs to take. You know, there are people who are just born to be employees. There are people who are just born to be employers. This is where we start seeing those aspects coming out of the child, and we respect them. We look at what they need and we meet them where their mind is. But this is where real curriculum comes in. One of the professors at Harvard says, as the needs of society change, so must the curriculum. We cannot teach students what we taught them 20 years ago if it's not relevant anymore. Some degrees that you do now, by the time you graduate, the degree is obsolete, and then you don't understand why the work environment cannot absorb you. You are not needed. So what we do, we make sure that our curriculum is constantly momentous and relevant. We look at where are we now and where are we going. This is the age of AI, artificial intelligence. What students used to do for 4.5, 5 years at university, now they do it for 5 hours on AI. This is how the world has turned. So whilst we don't throw them into computers and AI at this young age, but we work towards it. We integrate where life is. We do courses that are relevant for today and the future. The past we acknowledge, but we don't teach our children useless information. Today, in our school, we integrate courses like law, which are not taught in normal schools. But law is one of the most fundamental things that you have to teach a child from the onset. You start by simple rights, your right to privacy, your right to bodily integrity. You teach them from a very young age. So you start with teaching them the Bill of Rights very gently. You then get into the Constitution, and you just teach them slowly. And as they grow and you see where they are going, you then know how much more to integrate. So there are subjects that are not taught in normal schools that are taught in our school because they are relevant in life. So we give our young ones tools to approach life properly. Importantly, we separate the groups. There's a 10-year compulsory period at this stage. So from 6 to 15, you are compulsory at high school. And then we decide if you branch out to an apprenticeship. We decide with you and your parents. You choose. But are you branching out to an apprenticeship, or do you take 4 extra years at high school so that we prepare you for university? Once we see that you are a university type of students, we groom you specifically to ensure that we can place you in any university worldwide. The only condition is when you qualify, you come back and serve your country. So still on the 6 to 19 age group, remember, if at 15 they go for the apprenticeship, we are not letting go of them. We still have the 4 years with them. Only the direction is changing from academic to practical. And what we do in these 4 years, we groom them, we teach them how to respect themselves, we teach them how to drive, we make sure they have a driver's license, we give them all the tools so that when they finish, when they are 19, they have all the tools they want. They have a driver's license, they are upright, they have a bank account, the last 4 years they've been earning, so we teach them how to handle their money. But there's something very important about this stage of 6 to 19. Our students are not our only group of people we are training. We welcome parents because it is useless to do all this work at school. And when they get home, the parents dismantle everything we've built. So we welcome the parents. We want them to be involved. This is a community university. We've got Saturday and Sunday classes to groom them on how to look after their children. We have every facility at our university. We have a fully fledged clinic. We have psychological services. We have a garden where we plant and eat. We have everything you can think of. So we will teach the children and we will teach the parents simultaneously. We have regular meetings with parents, so at all times the loop is closed. We always know what is happening. This is very important for us because we don't want to break the cycle of building. We every step we take, we work with nature, with the families and with the children. We also have community forums that have the responsible fathers in the community. The children who don't have fathers, both girls and boys, need the grooming from a father. So we have the fathers who then offer their services to the children who don't have fathers. They teach boys how to be men the best way they can. They invite them to their families over weekends so that they can spend time with a family with a father and learn how that integration happens. We don't leave them in the street. Then we come to the group that is taking the academic route. So this group will not have internships because they are focusing on their books. And remember what I said before, we have a different method of measuring the growth in our children. We don't believe in exams. But the group that is taking the academic route, the last 4 years, we gently introduce exams. Why? Because they're going to the new age university. So we want to now prepare them to face the bad world. So we start them with exams and we hone in the subjects that they're going to study at university. In these 4 years, we also cover a full curriculum that is poised towards university. So when they get to university, they don't need any bridging time. They flow straight onto their studies and complete. So here's the part that I want you to understand, that our university is not Wits, and it's not UCT, and it's not Stellenbosch. We don't duplicate what the traditional universities do. We instead close the gaps that universities neglect, that society neglects, that the business space neglects, that the colleges, the FET colleges neglect. So we are closing gaps that nobody is looking at our university. But in terms, take for instance, we find a brilliant child who wants to go and do medicine or homeopathy or chiropractor. What do we do with them? We start duplicating that department? No, we don't. We send them to the best universities worldwide. We can send you to Wits if you want to stay in South Africa. We can send you to UCT. Wits has got one of the best medical schools. Why must we duplicate that when there's a group of people that are neglected that we should be looking after? So we don't duplicate what exists. So when our 6 to 19 group that has taken the academic route, when they qualify, we place them at universities. We pay for them at that university. But we continue to groom them. Our relationship doesn't end. We continue to be the pillar behind them. Now I'd like us to move onto our tertiary level and how we do it. First of all, I've just explained that we don't duplicate Wits. If you are good enough to get into Wits, we place you there. We groom you, we support you, and we stay with you throughout your studies. Our interest, are the neglected people in our community, the people who never got a chance to do matric, but they're so intelligent, they can do something with their lives. We accept them into our university at tertiary level. So we uplift the parts of society that we pretend do not exist, that have got nowhere to go. The parts that are rejected and written off as dropouts, those are the people we call. We restore their God-given integrity and assimilate them back into the economy. Let them also participate. They are part of us. They are links in our chain. So I actively recruit high school dropouts. And like I said, I don't care how old they are. If they are still interested to learn, they are welcome to come to our university. And their degree will say they are educated because they will be accredited appropriately. The unemployed graduates, we take them, we place them in jobs immediately. They do the 3 days at work and the 3 days in class. We tweak a little bit of what they did before, and depending on the area that we are at, we tweak them to serve the economy of that area. We retrain them practically with all the necessary skills that our economy needs today. So the measure of my success as a university is not how many degrees I have issued out. It's how I have united our communities. So the more we get integrated, the more people are active. When we start the university, we get everybody active. We make sure everybody works. It doesn't matter whether it's in the garden planting or it's in the school, or we make sure everybody has got something to do. Now, on our next video, I'd like to tell you about the special program that our university does. Remember, we've looked after everybody else. We have taken unemployed graduates. We have taken those without matric or those who couldn't even go to high school. So we train them and place them in jobs. But then what is the specialty of this university at tertiary level? So the next video, we get into it. The fabric of our society is torn to shreds. The purpose of our university is to sew the torn parts back into the fabric so that we can restore it as our national pride. We, as the university, we do not impose ourselves at any point of this process. We only act as a support system for the community. We have a program that invites anybody from the community. And we say everybody from their corner of the community must identify a social or a socio-economic or an economic problem. So you come to us and say, I live in this corner in Ekurhuleni, and here's the problem I have identified. But then you need to bring the proposed solution. If the two are congruent, what we do is we adopt you as a student. We teach you all the basics of business. We teach you financial literacy. We teach you strategy. We teach you how to set up your business. We help you register your business. We give you tools to effect the solution that you have proposed. I'll give you an example. A seamster once approached me and said, I make clothes and I'm very good at it. I make church uniforms, I make school uniforms, I make uniforms for the drum majorettes. So I'm a seamster. The problem is I have so many orders that I cannot cope on my own. What I would like to do is to solve a problem I have identified in my community. My community has got unbelievable unemployment. What I'd like to have is some sort of a factory where I can employ 50 people So if you can get me accommodation, whether we rent a hall or you build something for me, get me 50 machines, I will employ the youngsters from my community. I will teach them how to sew, and I'll give them part of my business so they can start doing the same. This is brilliant. This is job creation, this is skills transfer, and this is just community integration. So projects like that, we then adopt, we finance the seamster, and then we encourage him. We hold him for 4 years. We teach him how to run his business. We teach him financial literacy to show him how to handle his money. We teach him people skills, how to manage the people he is employing, and we assist him in the teaching of his newly found employees. When those people finish, they can decide to go and do this on their own in their own corners. They can decide to stay, they can decide to work as a group. But what this has done, it has pushed some sort of activity in that part of the community. So this gentleman has gotten himself education, he's gotten himself a factory, he has taught people from his community, and his orders are coming out on time. So we have this program running throughout the year and throughout the years. At all times, we encourage community members to identify problems in their communities, whether there's leaking waters and we can't wait for government. Then we approach government and we say we'd like to fix this ourselves. Or you find a plumber who will approach us and say, I have 12 years plumbing experience. I don't have matric, I didn't go to school, but I'm a specialist when it comes to plumbing. So what do you want to do? I'd like to take 4 or 5 youngsters from my community. I'd like to teach them the school, but I need tools and I need a van to be able to do house visits and fix the geysers and whatever problems people experience. This is a solution. So without even going to school, we've got 4 children who are now employed, who are being taught a skill, and we have their master being groomed by us. So all of these small initiatives, that is social entrepreneurship. All of these small initiatives, we adopt them, we finance them, we guide them until fruition. And they can keep on coming, we just keep them rolling. So this community project, it is advertised at all times in the community so that all the corners in the community are sorted out. I have had people who come and say, I'm very good at washing my own shoes and techies. So I thought if I have a small shack where I can wash techies for the community, that would help me. I need one person to assist me. You do that. You find a group of women who say, we just need capital because I have a house, I've got back rooms, I need maybe 4 washing machines and a dryer and ironing boards and irons, and I'll employ ladies from the township, and we have some sort of laundrette where people don't have to worry about their laundry. We do it, and then we get some beautiful packaging where we deliver the cleaned laundry. So those small initiatives, they are very important for the township economy. Our township economy is into billions, but who's benefiting from it? Is it our people? No. It's the same white supremacy who's taking advantage of our township economy, which should now be plowed back into our people. So we groom those people, we encourage those people, and we teach them all the skills they need to run their business. We even finance their business, hold their hands until they're strong enough to do the work on their own. So let us see if we can make this happen. Let us see if we are committed enough to put our hands together, to put our heads together, to start these community universities that encompass the entire community, that assist the entire community. Even facilities that we have within the university are open to the community. The music laboratory, the language laboratory, any part of our school is open to the community. Let's assume there's somebody who is not well. We have a clinic. It is open to the community. Let's assume there's somebody who's going through a bereavement. We have very serious psychological section that assists our people. So the university, it's not an elitist institution. It's a community project to reintroduce social cohesion so that we go back to what we are, a communal group of people. Lochang Bagayesu, Kitabetsu Balilona, as we close our educational program today. There's a part that I missed yesterday, which I think is very important. So I want to start with that today. If you noticed on the 9 pillars that I sent you yesterday, you will see that I do not have student residence. I have experienced over many decades what happens in student reses. And I don't want to put the children I'm trying to heal, I don't want to put them through the trauma of student residence. I want the children at all time to have the love of a full family, and I want them to have the benefit of every age group in their space consistently. So you will notice that on the 9 pillars, instead of student residence, I have generational village. What that means is that we have everybody from 0 to 100 in our residence. What I do when I start is I buy a farm and we start cultivating and enriching our soil with worms, with manure, and we make sure that our soil is rich for when we start planting our food. During that time, I start developing the residence area. And what I start with is our grannies and our grandpas. Abomkhulu nabogogo. So siyababiza bazohlala nathi. Abanye sibathatha emikhukhwini. Siyeze ematyotyombeni sithatha abantu abadala abangena sapho. Abahlala ematyotyombeni avuzayo. So we come and we take all our elders from the leaking shacks and we put them in these homes. We also welcome upstanding families who have the elderly that live with them, but they would prefer us to look after them properly. So we also invite them to bring their parents to our university, our residence area. And whenever we start a site, we start with our elders. As the agricultural experts are cultivating the soil, we invite our elders to come and dig their fingers and evoke the spirit of our ancestors to bless that program for the community. We want our elders to stay with us and to stay amongst us at all times. The wisdom they have, we are not going to waste it. Even the youngsters, they like during their breaks and during their spaces, they like going to the elders and listen to their stories, their lifetimes. So we start with the elders, and as we build up, we put the different age groups. What we do is when we start building, we start with the homes. We have a 4-bedroomed home where we put 3 grannies or grandpas, and then the 4th bedroom, we put a retired nurse to live with them. There's a group of people that are completely wasted in our community. You know, when you start school and you grow up, the first 20 years you're at school, say 25 years. After that, for 40 years, you are at work, you are learning a skill, you are getting experienced. At the height of your wisdom, when you are completely educated, experienced, wise, stable, they send you home to go and rot, and they call it retirement. We recruit, we call it the second wave. We recruit that second wave of employees and we employ them. So we employ the retired nurses. They come and give expert care to our elders. So our elders have got a 24-hour care, but they've got their own activities. We have excursions for them. We actually fly them to the sea if they don't live in the coast. We take them to the sea and they go and spend a week there. They've got games. They also have their own stories. They can start learning a language. So we keep them very busy, but we need them for their blessings within our community. So this is the first group of people that we invite to live at our premises. Then secondly, we start placing the children. I will tell you what we do. Somebody asked a very important question in the comments yesterday and said, what is this? Does it have boarding facilities? Absolutely. You know, as parents, you spend your entire day either on the road going to and from work or at work. When you come back, you're tired. You see your child very briefly, then she has to go and sleep. Whereas we can make use of that time throughout the week. And then over the weekends, when you are free and you're at home, you can take your child and spend quality time with them. But if you want to live with your child, we still welcome that. But yes, we have boarding facilities, especially for the younger mothers that we still have to groom simultaneously with their children. We prefer to look after the children ourselves. So the generational village involves every age group, everybody. What we also have on the side, we also have houses for rental for people who just want to be in our vicinity. We rent houses to them. We don't sell the houses, but we rent them. We rent them to families. We can have families that live within our space. This is a community project, not an elitist type of environment. So everybody is welcome. You know, there's a gentleman called David Icke. He's in England. David Icke taught me what secret societies are and how they operate. And he showed me a simple, you can look for his books, he explains this much better than I can. He showed me a simple pyramid. You know what a pyramid looks like? It's like a triangle. And the top of the pyramid is the top 1%. It's white supremacists. It's the people who have all the money. And those people live the most lavish life. They run the country. They own everything. But below the pyramid, from the top 1%, what is the base that is holding the pyramid? It's us. We are the people they sell everything to. We are the people that go and bank in their banks. If we say every black person must stay at home and not go to work, the country will come to a standstill. If we say every black person must stop banking with the commercial banks, they'll shut down. We are the people who are keeping them running. So my question to South Africa is, where are our banks? Why don't we have our own bank? We don't support each other. We want imports. We want something white. If I open a bank tomorrow and I say, let me teach you how it's done, let's have our own bank, nobody will come. You want white. Where are our food chains? Where are our supermarket chains? Where are our hotel chains? Where are our property developers who have homes, rent to buy, where people can have proper homes and not live in tents? Why are we waiting to be rescued when all the power is in our hands? If every black person in this country, which is 81% of the country, if every black person folds their arms and does nothing, all those businesses will fall down flat. So we are holding other people up when we are hungry. Does that make sense to you? Where is our own businesses? Where? We've been waiting for 32 years to be rescued. Instead, we're going further down. It is time we stand up and do things for ourselves. It is time we stop waiting for people to come and rescue us.